Just yesterday, I got an email from somebody, a Baba v'Chassid, and it was a very meaningful episode that he shared with me. His name is Rabbi Quadrat from Antwerp. Been seeing Quadrat from Antwerp, and his father, he's a Baba v'Chassid, and his father was a Talmud, a student of the Kedushas Tzion. Rebbe Tzion Halberstam, the Baba v'Rav, who was shot, he was killed during the Holocaust, during the Second World War. And before the war, he was in Bobiv. Bobiv is in Galicia, in eastern Poland. He had a huge, huge yeshiva. And he was a very, very big Rebbe. Most of Bobiv was wiped out. His son, Reb Shloima, survived the war. And he rebuilt Bobiv after the Second World War. He passed away in 2000 and was succeeded by his son, Reb Naftali. So this Baba v'Chassid told me that he heard this story from his father, who was a Talmud by the Kedushas Tzion. His name is Rebbe Tzion. He's known as the Kedushas Tzion. And he said that he wants to share with me the story that he heard from his father. He said one day, a Jew comes into the Baba v'Rav, Rebbe Tzion, Zechrona Levracha, Hashem Yinkem Damai, and he cries that he's very scared for his son's future. This is in the 1930s. So the Baba v'Rav, the Baba v'Rebbe, asks him, what's the problem? So he said he expected his son to be completely immersed in Torah. He was a Hasidic boy, a good Chassidish ben Torah, Chassidish Bachur. Instead, he sees that his son loves skiing. The words he used in Yiddish, speaking to the Baba v'Rav, is hat lieb sich glitschen auf der Schnee. He loves to slide on the snow, whenever it's a glitschen von derech, and he's going to slip off the path. He wants to slip on the snow, and he's going to slip off the derech, what they call today OTD. He's going to ski off the Jewish path. Take the wrong slope downhill. And he said, I don't know where it's going to end. Mela skiing, but I don't know where it's going to end. He should have one interest, and the interest is learning Torah all day and serving God and davening and being Oved Hashem. And I'm extremely, extremely scared who he's going to meet and what's going to happen. So the Baba Rebbe tells him, Shikem Tzamir, let me see your son and I'll take care of him. Okay, the father leaves, goes home. He's going to send his son to the Baba Rebbe. And in the meantime, the Baba Rebbe, the Kedushas Tzion, instructs his Gabbai to go into the yeshiva and summon one of the yeshiva boys in Baba, whose name was Yaakov Hersh. Yaakov Hersh was a Bacher, a student who was a big Talmud Chacham. Very assiduous, very serious, very sincere, very dedicated to his learning, and he was a masmid. Pashat, he loved learning. He sat for hours, day and night, and he loved learning. There was nothing else in his life. He would eat, drink, sleep a little bit, and learn. That's what he did. Yaakov Hersh is surprised by this invitation. He comes into the Baba v'Rav, and the Rebbe tells him, Yaakov Hersh, geh lernen wie zu sich glitschen auf der Schnee. I want you to go master the art of skiing. I want you to learn how to slide on the snow, literally. Yaakov Hersh was not just dumbfounded, he was startled. His Rebbe, the Baba Rebbe, has nothing better for him prepared than to go learn how to ski. So even though he was a bacher and it wasn't comfortable for him, he said, Rebbe, was wird es mir geben? I have no interest. Why should I learn this? So the Baba Rav said, Yaakov Hersh, sevet it's in its coming. It's going to be beneficial for you. It's going to be of great benefit to you. Now it happens to be that the city of Bobiv is located near the Carpathian Mountains on the border between Poland, Galicia, and Czechoslovakia. I don't know if anybody here skied on the Carpathian Mountains, but if you're planning a good ski trip, you may consider that. And Bobiv is on that border with Czechoslovakia, so Yaakov Hersh had great slopes to practice on. The Bobiv told him in no time, he was a serious student, assiduous. He was also potentially athletic. He mastered the sport, and he became mamish, an expert skier. This Jew who came to complain to the Rebbe went home and sent his son to the Bobiv Rebbe. The Bobiv Rebbe took him into his yeshiva and took him under his tutelage and took him under his loving care, which he was very well known. The Bobiv Rebbe, the Kedushas Sion, was very well known for having a way of influencing the youth. He had a big yeshiva, and he took a tremendous interest in all of the students, like a father and a mentor and a teacher, and he educated them, he refined them, he really mentored them, hundreds and hundreds of boys. He was well known for this before the war. And this boy was now here in the yeshiva, and one day the Baba Virov calls Yaakov Hersh, the expert skier, and he tells him, I want you to take this boy and teach him how to ski. You're an expert. I want you to teach him how to become an expert skier. And when you're on the slopes, and when you're putting on the gear, and when you come down, and when you're going, and when you're coming, you'll also talk to him. You'll fabring with him and learning in Chassidus and Yerushalayim. And I want you to do this constantly, on a weekly basis. No, this kid fell in love with Bobiv. It was the best. He comes here, he gets free ski lessons by a master skier and by the best bach in yeshiva too. Who took him to ski? The best boy. Yaakov Hersh was considered la creme de la creme. He loved it. He wasn't considered an outcast. He didn't have to do it clandestinely. It wasn't secret. It was done by Yaakov Hersh, who was the best bacher, and the Rebbe, of course, was behind the scenes. And the boy was a transformed boy because he loved skiing, and as a result, he loved the atmosphere, he loved the learning, he loved the davening, he loved the ambience, and all was wonderful. There's just a second half to the story. It's not really the main point, but I think it's worth mentioning. Tragic and sad and heart-wrenching, but also there were unique moments of grace, and every person who survived, even though so many didn't survive, and nobody knows why, but each one who did survive was a separate miracle, how they survived. During the war, as the Germans came in to Galicia, Galicia was decimated, as the rest of Poland. And Yaakov Hersh was deported to one of the ghettos. And it was a freezing cold winter in Eastern Europe during the war years. And he was with other Jews in one of the ghettos there by the Carpathian Mountains. And one of the days, the SS were in a particular mood of sadism and barbarity. They were usually in a sadistic mood, but some days were more than others. So they decided to torture some of the Jews in the ghetto, and they took a group of Jews and they took them up to a tall mountain. They were all thinly clothed. They barely had clothes and food. And the mountain was full of snow and ice and very dangerous. And they commanded them to slide down the mountain. Whoever didn't want, they pushed them. Most of them couldn't survive it. They didn't survive the ordeal, and they fell to their deaths. Yaakov Hersh was one of these Jews. Because of years and years of skiing, he knew how to maneuver himself somewhat to safety, and he was from the few who survived the ordeal. And he would repeat the story and say that when he was instructed to go skiing, his Rebbe, who didn't survive, was shot in the forest, told him, Yaakov Hersh, it's going to be a benefit for you. Now, if you think about this, here you have a classic situation of pedagogical sensitivity to a child. The Baba Virov could have told the father, you have to tell your son, this is not what a Jewish boy does. He doesn't ski. This is for the Gentiles. He could have done that. he probably knew the father would have lost his boy. So what did he do? Not only did he allow this boy to ski, he took the best boy of the yeshiva and turned him into a skier to be able to connect to this child on his terms, take him skiing, teach him how to ski, and when he saw who is the master of skiing, he looked up to him, not only in skiing, he looked up to him in everything else. And his life was transformed. The greatest gift in education is when somebody never ever becomes deaf to the true yearnings of a child and never decides that in the name of some abstract ideal which may be beautiful, they're going to cut off this child. I came here this morning for Shachris. A Yid tells me, he's a teacher, and he says the classroom is crazy sometimes. So he went to Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter, who's a big Breslover leader, and he says, I'm a melamed and I don't know what to do. The kinder machem and meshigah. I don't know how to deal with it. So Rabbi Yaakov Meir Shechter, without skipping a heartbeat, told him, melamed, the word melamed, a teacher, is Rosh Tevis, mem lamed mem daled, meshigah machen zollen zaydir. Right? They should make you crazy. What was he telling him? He was telling him that in life, parent, a teacher, whatever it is, we go in with a certain frigid approach. If you fit, great. If not, we lose the plot. And when we lose the plot, we get angry and we do foolish things that simply cuts down the person. Education, in its truest sense, is about a mesiras nefesh. It's about tuning my soul into the true needs of the other person. Of course, a teacher and a parent should make systems that they shouldn't make you meshuggah 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's no mitzvah to create a jungle. That's not what we're talking about. Children need discipline. Children need structure. Children need cohesiveness. Children need patterns. But they need structures, laws, and patterns to be able to bring out the best in them, to be able to help them shine, to be able to help them blossom. Not laws and structures just to shut them up and repress them so that I should be able to feel good, because then what I'm doing essentially is I'm using laws and structures to abandon them, not to develop them. Real laws and structures are created out of attachment, not out of detachment. I attach myself to the person and I'm sensitive to who the person really is and how I could reach into their heart right now and help them climb, help them grow from step to step to where they are capable of becoming. It's not about imposing a certain perspective. Either you're in or you're out, because very often I lose the person. I'll tell myself for the rest of my life, I'm just. My conscience is clear. But deep down I know, because of my inability to expand my horizons and to think what God really wants for me, for this child, I abandoned the soul. The Baba V'Rav, the Kedushas Sion, I can assume wasn't very into skiing. Just my speculation. My speculation. But he understood, at this moment I have a child. This child's soul, you're going to find only on the slopes. That's where you're going to find this child's soul. You will not find it anywhere else. So you could say, I want to find your soul in the Beis Medrash. His soul will not be there. You could force him for a few weeks to come, and the first opportunity he'll run. If you go to the mountains with him, you'll find his soul. You'll connect to his soul. You'll find his soul on the slopes. In the middle of one of those slopes, that's where his neshama is. That's where he is, or that's where she is. Go there. Connect. Reach out. Be there with your soul. And then you will guarantee that the slopes for this child don't only go downwards, they also go upwards. Have a wonderful week.